Welcome back to another episode of the HU Flow podcast, presented to you by HU Enrichment. As always, for your host, it is Stephen and Marilyn here. You know how we do. Today is June 2nd, 2022. And, we got a lot to talk about. We got some topics that we're going to bring onto the podcast. And, there's just some stuff that are currently trending inside of the community of entertainment, and also just some common stuff that we want to really put out there, give our thoughts on. So the first thing we're going to talk about is recently, we were in May. Obviously, this is the second day of June right now as we're recording. We had our graduation for Harrisburg University back in mid-May. I forget the specific date.
May 12th.
May 12th. Okay. May 12th. This was our first in-person graduation in 3 years. Due to COVID, our class of 2020 and 2021 had to graduate online. But this year, they were able to join class of 2022 and walking. So myself and Marilyn walked in that. I'm a class of 2022 graduate. She's a class of 2022. Wait, I just said 2022 for both of us.
Oh, yeah, you're 2020.
Yeah, I'm 2020. She's 2022. But yeah, we both have graduated. We're both officially alumni. But hey, we're still here in your favorite college podcast doing the thing. So we're kind of going to go through some graduation thoughts because first and foremost, the first thing I want to talk about is, and if you were there and you're an alumni who was a part of HU, in that little walk thing we did last month, that we were in I think it starts at 6:30 in the evening. Right. We are currently at this point waiting to walk out to see all our friends, family, cheer us on, everything. So in this section, right, I don't know why, but it felt like it was a hot sauna in there. And I was like at this point, I'm like thinking, I need some water or some air because it's very hot. And because I was talking about it before we hopped in the podcast with Marilyn, was it hot for you in there? Because
it was definitely hot. I was looking for a water bottle. Apparently there was a little secret room with a bunch of snacks and stuff. But I heard different things about that. I'm like, either it's for after graduation or what. Anyway, I didn't care. I grabbed a water bottle because I really needed water. But I had my bag with me and I don't know, things were just a little bit disorganized back there. We did have a rehearsal, but the day before we heard that there'd be bag check, coat check. Then when we got there was no bag check, coat check. So it wasn't just me, I was with Rosa. And we were both like, where the heck do we put our bags? Because we weren't trying to carry them out during the procession. That's not very professional. But it was mad sweaty.
Yeah, I was so bullets in there. And then because I kept forgetting, did we have to be in order in the line or did we just give a damn? I think they were just saying at least to sit with your year. That's where they were at. I'm like, all right, bet. I'll make sure I send my year at least. Because I think I wasn't all the way in the back on because we were lined up on a wall. I think, were you guys also lined up? Yeah, you were on the left side of the wall, I think. Or
no, I don't know my left and right.
No. So I'm trying to remember. So to give also the viewers at home an idea of what we're looking at. So we have let's say a square box, right? And then there's one exit. That's where we're going out. There's 3 lanes. The first lane is for all the staff, faculty. The middle lane is for the masters. Yep. And then, we are on the right side of that wall, and we're just in order because there's people just jumping around, just talking to the peoples from the other years. But I think 2022 was definitely in the front. 2021 was in the middle, and 2020 was in the back. Mm-hmm. It made sense if you really think about it because 2020 is the last class. There's probably I think we had the least amount too. We had 10 people.
Yeah.
But it's still nice to see that we still showed out for our year because, we just want to show out. But we were lined up like that, right? So obviously the first ones to go out the staff. Then after that, the master students. And then we're the last. Now, obviously, we got the most cheers. No disrespect to, staff and the master students. But let's be real here. Y'all know who they really came here to see. Because usually it's always undergrad that get the most love because a lot of the master students, their families are very small. But the the undergrad students usually have big families. There was a family that took up 2 rows of seats.
Yep.
Which I thought that was cap, but my mom was sitting the row in front of them. And, I was like, okay, that was cool.
My family was near them too. And they're like, whoa, they got big cheers.
Yeah, dude, I was like, damn, who family is that? I don't know who that was, but shout out to their family. They really showed out support. They did a lot of cool things. I think when we started to walk out, Well, it's cooler in that section for sure. 'Cause I was like, it was hot in there too. I don't know, man. I might have passed out, but it was definitely cooler in there. Um, and then just hearing the roar of the crowd, and seeing that, it was really cool. And I mean, I can't thank enough for the people, obviously, who got me here in my life, and I know Marilyn could say the same about the people that got you in your life, but walking that stage definitely felt good, and it was a good moment to have. And I mean, even after the time to do that little food section they had with the food stuff like that, that was cool. I mean, it was a lot of finger food, and
It was good though. It was tasty.
yeah, it was tasty. I mean, but like as soon as the thing was over, I'm like, everyone's making a beeline out of here because they just want to catch wherever restaurants still open or they're going out to drinks with their friends and stuff like that. I know I went out and drank with some friends after I spent some time with family, and it was a good time. So for those at home that got the opportunity to go to graduation, consider it, man. Because like you never know what's gonna happen in life where you might have it, but then you lose it. Just consider it because you'd be amazed at how you feel that day. It was a good day for us. So just wanted to kind of rehash or just open up, talk about that a little bit because post graduation thoughts are a good thing to start off the podcast with.
For sure.
Next topic. It's a topic that's been pretty much dominating entertainment news the last couple of weeks.
Like 7, I heard, like 7 whole weeks.
Yeah, and it was more popular than more. I think other people were like, there was like I forgot who posted it, but it was some tweet I saw that like they put a list of like trending things that are happening in the world. Like obviously there's the war in Ukraine, there's like wherever it's like maybe a shooting or something like that. So that was
major serious topics.
Yeah,
that typically get like a lot of attention.
Yeah, and Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, that's what we're talking about, got the highest. And this was something I was talking to Marilyn about off podcast that like I think it's concerning how we're seeing. Well, at the time we were talking about it, how we're narrating this little situation between these two, because obviously at the end of the day, they both have obviously not benefited, even regardless of who wins. Is anyone truly winning here? Because I don't see that. And now it is confirmed as of yesterday that Johnny Depp won the lawsuit. He has won the defamation. He got $15 million from her on top of many other things. I mean, yeah, great. Congrats to Johnny Depp, but like, is it really? Like, I'm trying to find the positives out of it, but I don't see any positives here other than, okay, you just proved that men can go through the same thing as women do when it comes to abuse. Okay. That is not anything new, but I think it's just because how I view it.
Well, I've heard like a couple different opinions on it. I've heard some people that are, well, this one girl I know, she's like pro Amber. Cool. Okay. They both definitely went through a lot, to put it very lightly. I guess the results of the trial show that, yeah, men do go through abuse as well, and that's something else important to highlight. But I don't know, there's still like 2 rich people that are now just a little bit richer in the end. I think it just needs to highlight more so for the everyday person who can be victims of abuse. We can use the trial as an example. Like it can happen to famous people too. It can happen to your friend down the street, So it's less about, I guess, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and more about what it says about abuse in general. Just that it's important if you know your friend's being abused, even if they're a guy or if they're a girl, that they probably need help in their situation. And if you are someone who's able to help them, that's a important position maybe for you to be in as well. And they're probably not going to be able to go to law for defamation. That's the thing, as this trial was more about defamation than it was it was supposed to be about defamation than it was the assault. But I guess with the media, it turned into more of an assault case because like, oh, a man's getting assaulted. Let's watch that. Something that I did see was Amber Heard's closing remarks about it. And some of the comments revolving around that being like, she's still trying to play victim. She's trying to gaslight people into thinking like, whatever, she's a woman, she should have won kind of thing. But I saw then another comment that was talking about we all were watching that trial, we all heard the evidence, and we still chose to believe Johnny, not because he's a man, but because we saw the evidence in the case and we're like, hey, this is the side that we clearly see. I mean, she filmed most of the things. That's a little weird. But there was a lot in that case. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm not.
But it brings up a lot of topics.
Yeah, it's a lot of topics, and also you mentioned the statements that you made, right? Here's where it's also, this is where my social media person head comes on, right? Because the Amber Heard statement was really focused on how social media played a factor in the decision here, which you could argue that case. You could really argue this case because of how broadly broadcast it was. Like, I was at the gym, I think a couple weeks ago, where I was just like, I was on a treadmill, and I'm like, they have a TV dedicated to the live stream of this whole ordeal, and I'm like, I don't even want to watch this. Like, I just stared at the wall for like 20 minutes out of boredom because I'm like, dude, I've never seen something as big. Like, I get it, they're big celebrities, their lives are always gonna be out there, but I don't understand why are we, because I think we're tearing this more into a drama series than it is an actual court case that should be legally getting handled. Like, there shouldn't be everyone trying to like tune in and get their perspectives. Like, there's like this famous group of lawyers that do this YouTube channel that were doing live streams of it too, and I'm like, okay, you guys are lawyers, you guys have a different perspective on this. You can give some good insights. But I think where I had it in my head was like, dude, this is coming off as a drama series, and I don't like that because the topic is too, like, not personal, too
Like sensitive?
Yeah, too sensitive to be making it into a drama series. Like, I know there's some TV shows that try to highlight that and attention to it, but this is more like we're just using this to entertain our eye, and that's concerning because what happens if someone else goes through this? Are we going to do a live stream again? Are we going to be so quick to the judge? Like, I'm a big believer is like, when all said and done in court, then I'll give my full statement. But there's obviously some people where I can't really say that because there are some people in my eyes, I'm like, yo, you're already guilty, my guy.
Yeah.
But it's with this situation, I truly don't believe no one won. Like, other than the fact that, yeah, Johnny probably won more than her.
Money wise, but they both definitely went through not divorce, abuse, and in several ways, defamation, maybe physical abuse as well. But that all came out in the trial, so it's more like there was no clear winner, because everything already happened in the past. Everything already happened to them. They still have that like emotional baggage that they have to deal with on their own. But they're celebrities; they can pay for it.
Right. And then I think one perspective I really took from, because I have both statements pulled up. So with the Amber Heard statement, one thing that really stuck out to me, I think it is important because it definitely does highlight this, is she says, I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback. It setbacks the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly shamed and humiliated. It sets back the idea that violence against women is to be taken seriously. So, and you could definitely make the case for that, because I think, and that's where I was like really like frustrated with like people who are like nowadays realizing like, yeah, that's a thing. Like, guys, it's been going on longer than any of us been alive. Okay. Like, you back in, like, I remember in history class they used to talk about it so casually, like it was like a cool thing. Like, it was not cool. It was like a thing that's just like, that happens. Like, no, it shouldn't happen, but it does. But it sets the precedent. Like, if a woman comes out after abuser, are they going to put her in a box like they did with Amber Heard? And there could be some men like that, or judge or system like that will do that. So
yeah. I mean, that's what I was talking about with like we as women still watched the trial, and a lot of women still supported Johnny Depp. So it doesn't necessarily show it doesn't necessarily show that this is a setback, but what could easily happen is I think what you were saying, that a man could just be like, oh, she's just being like Amber Heard, bro. She's not actually being abused. But that's not necessarily the case because she did go through some abuse. So it's like you can't, if that example is used, like that's an inaccurate example. But she's just trying to like plead for more sympathies, honestly.
Right. And that's where it's like abuse is already a slippery slope when you don't have a lot of things backing for you. But with these two, they showed like, hey, if you have the evidence, you can really make a good argument. But if you don't, you're more likely to lose or not even get anything at all. But this kind of showed like this is I think to me, my perspective of it, this is a prime example of, yeah, someone could still win, but they still win nothing. They just win, I would say, bragging rights to say they did that. That's about it. Because, well, let's be honest here. Johnny Depp, will he be back in movies doing this thing? Maybe in a couple years. But, I mean, but for platforms like Disney or people will be, oh, okay, he won. He's back on Captain Jack Sparrow. No, he's not. He made it publicly clear that he's never doing anything with Disney again. Like, so anyone who's trying to use that perspective, no, he's not doing anything with them again.
Which is a bummer because I know we all would like to see another Jack Sparrow, but I think that's for the best.
Yeah, it's for the best. And I mean, also when it goes back to the other point, like with someone with someone like when you want to have a core of people supporting you, having your back. When you don't have that and everyone just dips on you like that, it just sets the point like, okay, I don't want to deal with these people anymore. So I understand why he's doing why he's doing it. And then maybe some down the road he'd be counsel, cool. But I don't think it's anytime soon unless, money talks. So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot to unpack. It's a little sad that it's over because I miss the memes. But that's also like the drama part of it again. Should it have been dramatized so much? I don't think that you can help that just because it was such a public trial. I'm under the impression though that most trials are public in some sense. But I did see a couple things. Now, I don't have any details on them, but I would like scroll through the comments of the Amber Heard trial memes, and then they're like, oh, so-and-so's trial is going on right now. So-and-so's, like, I think not Ghislaine Maxwell, but some other like important subject trial was going on during the time of the Johnny Depp trial, but it got like no attention. I don't remember which one it was. It was just a TikTok comment. And I think that shows another issue since, as you said before, the Johnny Depp trial was getting more attention than stuff going on in Ukraine. And I think that shows like, one, we've gone through a lot of negative media lately, Ukraine, mass shootings. It's almost like an escape, but it also can't be a distraction. Like we still have to be doing our civic duty and keeping up with global events. At the same time, that's exhausting. And sometimes I just want to watch Amber Heard beams.
I think that's so. I forgot where I saw this. I think it was on Snapchat. And I think it was this like Snap has these subscription stories that you can just like subscribe to. Yeah. So they have this I forgot what these guys are named. Oh, Pod Saves America. It's a group of these guys who used to be former White House staff members for Obama during his administration. Anyway, their own podcast talk about a bunch of different things from politics to whatever is like a big topic in America. So they were talking about the Amber Heard situation, and they were like, when you look at the media perspective of what you've been dealing with, not just this year, but the last couple of years, you can really highlight the negatives really hard because a lot of the media will drive towards that. So sometimes you need an escape, which again, we all know we need one. Because let's be real, if you got like a shit ton of negative day in, day out, you're gonna need positive. So they looked at the percentage of people that were actually like tuning into like very popular news platforms like your CNN, your Fox News. Like, for example, if anyone who listens to podcasts who goes to HU, like typically you walk around the TVs at HU, you're seeing nothing but CNN. Normally, maybe I think there's one time I saw like something else on CNN, like a Discovery Channel, but that was like a long time ago. But typically seeing it because they just want to. This is their way of keeping you informed on things happening, which I get that. But if you look at polls, you look at things that our generation like you look at the 18 to 29, I think a good portion of them are not looking at your CNNs or Fox or those major ones, right? They're looking at your TikToks, your Twitters, your Instagram. They're looking at whoever have accounts on those platforms, and some people on YouTube. So they're looking at that stuff to find information because I don't think they have the mental capacity to handle going through whatever perspective those platforms are trying to give. Not to say they're not looking into them, because there are clips that are uploaded. There are definitely clips that are like, you see that perspective of that one thing they said, but not the full scope of the thing. And you're only going off this perspective instead of the full scope of the thing. And that's always a troubling thing. So when you combine all that, and what you're going to be definitely seeing as negative, how do you obtain positive? And I think, again, I'm not truly like pissed that a lot of people were like focusing on the Amber Heard thing that happened because they just need something as escape. But I am pissed when it becomes more popular than stuff like what's going on in Ukraine or somewhere like with Palestine and Israel. Like, I get pissed off with that because, like, yo, that's just be something that's still in your brains versus like this is gonna come and go. Like, so that thing I think it gets frustrating. And I think what they're saying on their podcast was like, how do you balance that? And they're like, you really can't. It's more of a trend that it just comes and goes. The only way you can really dictate how people can change their perspective of it is really encouraging them to like, hey, don't be inside the bubble, which is just this one thing. Expand upon your bubbles. Don't really just focus on one aspect. Take time to focus on key aspects and balance that. So I think that's kind of where it comes down to. And I mean, like you're saying, there's a lot of aspects you can look into this story, but at the end of the day, we gave you the results. Johnny Depp won. I mean, whose side were you on? Let us know. We're curious about your perspective as well, because it is important because this is a big topic. Well, it's a topic only because it was popular. Come back to us again in like December. We won't not be talking about this at all.
Right, like I saw a guy got a full like leg tattoo of the trial with like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard on it, and all the comments are like, "This isn't gonna matter like next week." Like it was clearly just a topical thing, which is probably why it was so popular. But other events aren't topical necessarily. Like the situation in Ukraine again, for example. A lot of people, that was topical for a moment, and then it's still going on. COVID, even too, to some degree, for some groups of people, was more topical than it is still going on. But those are more like serious world events. This was just, in the grand scheme of things, a silly little trial for really what was just a matter of money between two people. It didn't matter to the greater scheme of society. It really didn't represent anything. Like the trial wasn't about sexual assault. It was about defamation. So in terms of like, and it wasn't even like a governmental court, which would mean something for the grand scheme of things. These other events that tend to be coming in waves and are more topical, but shouldn't be, mean something. And I can't say that I pay attention to them all the time as well, but I still, at least I try and keep them in my mind. I think that a lot, I wouldn't say that our generation doesn't have the mental capacity to handle like CNN, but I think that a lot of us just disagree with how general news networks put out news. I mean, I do. I just don't. It's just always so negative. Like if I'm scrolling on social media looking for news, I can just go two scrolls and I see a meme and I'm like, now this is better. It's more like a balance. That's how I see the news. I don't know if that's a majority opinion or not, but I've just never been a huge news fan for the morale. Like I just feel like tense, like there's a dark cloud over me kind of thing whenever the news is on. That doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to the news. I just don't like actual news networks are just blah.
I mean, like if I look at the news, like a newscast from like 2000, well, 1989, 2000, and look at compared to one today, you can see how one tries to balance the negative and positives while the other one just trying to really piss you off and get a rile out of you because it's a reaction factor more than ever nowadays. So they just want to get a reaction out of you. That way they can get clout and then go viral potentially. That's kind of where the niche is, in my mind, is going. And I think that's not as great And I'm not just saying that about in America. I'm looking at other countries too. Like I've seen that in Sky News in the UK. It's very action based, and I think a lot of people think that's cool and all because yeah, you're making money, but forget the money. There's a human aspect of when you report. You have an obligation to be as less biased as you are toward the topic than you typically are. You know, we all talk about how we should try to be as non-biased towards a situation. It's impossible because you're gonna have a bias towards something. You just have to be willing to acknowledge other people's opinions and listen and actually tell them a story or tell them the story of whatever you're reporting on without letting your bias fully overlap and become the story. Because when that happens, that's not a story. That's just your opinion. And this opinion you're trying to say is fact, which doesn't work. So that's where I'm like, okay. Like I also agree with you. I don't really pay much attention as much. But when I do, you know, I just probably how I go about it, I just have like an hour in my day, or if I'm on the treadmill, I'll go listen to or read something like, you know, shout out to the Morning Brew, their email newsletter that basically gives you all the news in like less than 5 minutes of what's going on.
I like them. I use them too.
Yeah, like they're really good at it, and they're gonna give you a good idea. Now, because at the end of the day, we're not trying to encourage you to be that informed to the point where you're killing brain cells. Mm-hmm. Just once in a while, check in. Well, especially locally, look at your local news, see what's happening in your area before you even think of what's happening here. Like you know, because every news is different. What's happening in my city is not happening in your city. So start locally if you want to. Like feel the room, and then look at the world. Look what's going on in the world. Because
that's good advice.
Someone's waking up right now, and not the same situation as you are. And you just got to understand that's part of life. But whatever opportunity you have to do with your life, make sure you're just doing what you can. And when it comes to just being informed, just take your time. Start small, and then when you're comfortable, find a balance. So. You know, if you need to get a good source to just get you some quick news, the Morning Brew is an email newsletter. Check it out. It's really good. Other than that, you know, Snapchat has some good ones. I mean, like I'll say, like not my party, Pop Saves America, Pop Saves the World. I forgot that comedian's name. I forgot his name. It's something that was famous on the Comedy Central. Trevor Noah, Daily Show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do short little clips. Go check him out on Snapchat too. You know, if you don't want to sit through a whole 20-minute video, fine. Here's some sources we're saying. I'm on YouTube. Phil DeFranco, he's a good guy. He's been doing this for almost 15 years. So check him out. But yeah.
I think it's on Instagram. I forget the name. That's why I'm looking it up. But they just do quick facts, stats kind of things. Ride the News. I like them. They just post like things going out, and they have memes, so it's funny. But they have like quick 4 things going on, and then you can get like quick facts about them.
Yeah, so
I like that one a lot.
Anything we mention on this podcast will be in the description below. Check it out. You know, have fun with that, and you know, hopefully that helps you on your journey of just staying informed and understanding what's happening either on the world or locally. So I hope that helps you out. And we're gonna now switch on to next gears because we kind of drifted from Amber Heard to just talking about memes in general, which is still a pressing topic.
Natural transition.
Very natural transition. So the next topic that we're doing is just requested from one of our actual followers. Self-help books really help you? That's the question he's asked us to answer. And my opinion is it really depends on you, man. Here's why. I say that. So I'll use this book I have right here. So this book here is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, right? It's a very popular book. It's got over 3 million copies sold. I can definitely consider it a self-help book. The goal of that book is just basically saying to you, like, hey, and excuse my language, but you need to really understand what you should give a fuck about versus what you shouldn't. Yes, I know that it says it on the cover of the book, but it really dives into why we give a fuck about things that we shouldn't really think about. And he goes through his own life stories of experience, stuff like that. For example, he had a crazy ex-girlfriend. that showed
Been
up.
there.
Yeah, and she showed up one day when him and his fiance were eating sushi, and she started talking about all this stuff about how they should be together, and while they're also eating sushi, and she's downing sake in front of him, and basically his ex-girlfriend, the crazy one, is also ironically very lucky to be alive, because a few years prior she got into a very bad accident that left her dead, almost dead, but through the grace of, I don't know, God, she survived. And she's a big advocate of just like spiritual stuff ever since then. But the moral of the story, where I'm going with that, is self-help books in a nutshell only truly help you if whatever advice you take from them actually can be incorporated into your life. Let's be honest here. That book is a good book, but it might not help you. Any book I recommend to you on this podcast might not help you. Whatever advice you might get for self-help, whether it's reading a book or just anything, it really depends on you. So that's just my perspective on it. I mean, Marilyn, how about you? What's your perspective on self-help books? Do they really help
The
you?
book itself isn't going to do anything for you. It's all about forming habits and taking the advice from the book and applying it to your life. If you feel like you need help with what is in whatever self-help book you're reading, then maybe take up the advice. Try it for a week. Commit to it to like 3 days, and then to a week, and then 2 weeks, and then a month, or something like that. Because I need to do things incrementally, or else they won't help me. But that's me and my advice on self-help. But in a nutshell, I guess I think I would say self-help books, they work, but they're not going to work magically on their own. They'll probably give you like great ideas and a new, fresh perspective on how to deal with what you wanted help with, but you're not going to change unless you put in that action yourself.
Right. And that's where I was like, okay, it really comes down to the action. Like, yeah, you can read these books for God knows how long, but the action really requires you to step up. If you don't step up, then what are we doing here? Don't like, and also like, okay, that book I just showed you guys, To Settle Hard and Not Give a Fuck, it cost me $27. Do not spend super big
It's
money.
a lot of money on a book.
I know, but it's like a hardcover book. It's like a special type. But like,
Okay.
but still, don't spend that much money unless you know for sure you're gonna actually read the book. Like, rent the book out. Like, do the 1 week rent a book, whatever. If they do something like that, don't buy these books. They're super expensive and not even read them or use them as much as you want to. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if it's on Amazon, definitely rent it. But that's my human perspective overall. Like, I have a different spiritual perspective because I feel like self-help books are a little bit like a human's kind of guideline, or I guess you could say Bible, but I wouldn't because I don't feel like it makes as much sense. But like as a person, maybe you're not religious, you go through life and you need advice on things, or you read a self-help book in a spiritual perspective, and I'm just speaking more from like Christian perspective. That's like your, hey, I need help with something. I need help making changes to myself. It doesn't come from like sheer will necessarily, as you might if you were to apply like self-help book habit forming things. You can, but if you want to make like changes to how you converse with people, or changes into how like mindset changes, things like that, you're probably going to get more of a spiritual assistance by prayer, asking God for like changes to your life. But you're not like, that's just not going to change. Like if you just pray about it, you still need to apply the habits as well. But if you want to make like more difficult sort of changes to your life and you have a more spiritual perspective, that's when prayer comes in. And again, you're still not going to read a book and get those changes. You still have to make like decisions for yourself.
right. And that's the first thing people need to understand. Because if y'all not doing that, then the whole point of what you're doing here is like you're just, I feel like you're just wasting time at that point. You're finding excuses for reasons why you can't do a thing. And I think that's always something that frustrates me. Because I have friends who, they're big types to read these type of books, and also use motivational quotes, repost them on their stories, and really talk about the thing, their actions they're taking. But the actions, they only took them for a day or two and stopped because they lacked the, I guess, motivation to kind of keep going.
Discipline.
Discipline, more discipline than motivation. I think it's more discipline because
Discipline's
um,
huge.
this one's super huge, and I think that's where I really think people need to understand. Like motivation's one thing, but when you have none of that, like 0%, this is where just straight up discipline comes into play, right? Ryan Serhant said it best to me. Now I'm using those stupid motivational quotes. Yeah, ironic. So he made a video where he talked about discipline and how, I don't want to, he want to do nothing. He said, I legit don't want to do nothing. He's a real estate broker, but, follow discipline when motivation cannot find you. Because it does. Discipline homes you down, brings you to earth, does a thing. So I feel like it's a lack of discipline that's a problem for a lot of people, especially when I think a prime example of discipline when you definitely need it is like, let's say weight loss. Like a lot of people lose weight, but they love food. Like for me, I love pizza, but I'm trying to lose weight. So
Right.
I make sure it's like, okay, here's my rule. I don't eat pizza more than twice a month. That's it. Like I can
Good
do
one.
that. That's like I'm not fully getting rid of it. I'm just reducing the amount of times I ever eat it or anything related to it. That's all.
And that's like not unattainable. You can think, oh, well, I had pizza last week, I'll just get it next week, kind of thing. And it's still like, I feel like when you restrict yourself to such a degree, that's when you're not really going to get results, especially if you're going in not that disciplined. When you're starting to start a weight loss plan, you still need to work with yourself and learn yourself. And a lot of things don't have to be super drastic to lose weight. It just takes time. Like you can literally walk on a treadmill for 20 minutes a day, and maybe you need more habit changes. But let's say you walk on the treadmill for like an hour a day and don't change much else about your lifestyle. Say you live generally healthy, eat generally healthy. You're still going to see results. You're still going to see changes because you're disciplined to do something every single day. Or even if it's not every day, you're still dedicated to change your mindset, to change your habits, to be towards being healthier.
Exactly. That's why it's important to understand that the discipline will carry you when motivation can't. So, don't feel discouraged that whatever you're trying to do, whether it's weight loss or you're just trying to make sure you drink more water in a day or whatever you're trying to do, instead of just straight up getting rid of it, just limit yourself. When it comes to self-help books in a nutshell, do they help? It can if you actually take the action towards doing the things and having the discipline to basically break it down from point A to point B and get it done. Because that's really how they'll help you. Now, this is just our opinion. Obviously, others have different perspectives on self-help, but we appreciate the question. But this is just our take on self-help books. And it kind of leads into another thing that's not really a self-help thing, but you could see it in some way like self-help. It's because, it's our last topic here, and I have mixed feelings on it because of certain situations. But like, let's talk about astrology.
Oh boy.
Yeah. We got to talk about this one. So let me see where I'm going to go with this. How am I going to start this here? I don't generally understand people's use of astrology when it comes to like trying to talk to someone else. It's like, there was this it was a TikTok video that I saw. And also this happened to me in real person, but I'm using a TikTok video first. It was a TikTok video about a girl that said that she would, no, it was a YouTube video of a girl that said that she would not date Aquariuses because the last Aquarius she dated was not it. And I'm like, and then she said to all those Aquarius out there, why y'all so weird? And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, whoa.
Are you an Aquarius, Steven?
Yes.
I took it personally.
I was like, wait, what we do to hurt you? And also, I don't know anything about Aquarius at that point. So I was like, let me look this up. So let me look at the qualities of Aquarius. And I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. Wait, I don't understand. So what did we do? Because now I'm looking up again just so you guys can walk with me here why I say about anything I say. Because every definition is different. I'm going to keep it real. But we're basically known as just people that I guess are straight thinking, we're clear headed, all that jazz. Like, but at the same time, I'm like, if we're just incompatible with certain earth signs and all that. I'm like, okay, wait. Let's keep it real here. Like, why should I be that focused on that? So my thing is with this whole debacle is one. Well, in Marilyn, your opinion, why do you think people really harp on astrology with that when it comes to talking to people? Because I don't understand.
I have yet to see a scientific study where your astrological sign actually correlates with how you are as a person. So I think it's just some easy way for people to generalize different people by when they're born, and make it easier to kind of like, profile them a little bit, I guess. I'm an Aries. If you were to guess before I said that, what would you think my sign was? A little too late. I already told you. So Aries is like the first sign. Fiery, bold, ambitious, whatever, fire sign. I don't care. It's fun though to look at the like memes and things like that. But I don't know. I've gotten a little bit better at guessing people's zodiacs based on the the like forward quality, like the main qualities about them. I'm not supposed to get along with Cancers and Capricorns. I just looked it up earlier today, actually, because I'm like, I wonder if I get along with this one sign. And like, technically I do, but the people that I know in it, I can't stand. So like, there you go right there. Plus I know people are like really into it, like to have the whole birth chart thing that like makes sense if it's like specifically about you. Like maybe I'm an Aries, but then I'm like, I forget what I am exactly, so I'm going to say like a Cancer moon or something like that. Maybe like there's some truth to that. But again, I have yet to see an actual study on it. The only way astrology would make sense to me is if there were more environmental factors that shaped how you were. Like if I'm born in April, these set of circumstances are more likely to happen to me, which means I'm more likely to be fiery, bold, independent, whatever. But on a global scale, that makes no sense. So then I'm like, where is astrology coming from? What am I like part of a representation of like the Aries constellation? I don't know. That's like a fun lens to look through it though, because I'm like, when I'm Googling things about Aries, I don't feel like I'm myself. I feel like I'm like this other girl that's like, it almost feels like Divergent, where I'm like in a book and I'm like, oh, I'm in the Aries faction. What are like things about me in the Aries faction? That's how I kind of see it. But it's again so general that I don't believe in astrology, but I like talking about it. I'm like, oh, you're a Sagittarius. You're like this. We correlate, whatever. Sure. Like it's fun.
Here's my thing. My friend legit lied about his freaking sign to a girl one time because he was talking to her and he was like, "So what's your sign?" He said, "Oh, she's a Capricorn." She says to him, and she's like, "Oh, me too." And I'm like, "Yo, he's lying on his behind."
I think that's amazing. Like, I feel like that's hilarious. I would do the same thing if like a guy was super into astrology. I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever you want. Like, whatever sign he is, I just pick the most compatible one." Like, it's stupid. You can't actually tell.
Yeah, like, bro, I'm like, yo, like, bro, and I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, like, what if she gonna then assume that your birthday is around that time? Then it's like, if y'all start dating and everything, and then you'd like, oh, I was a Cap and I was a Leo. I'm like, she's gonna be like, weirdo. I'm like,
oh no, red flag.
Weirdo.
It's not the red flag is lying, but
yeah, but like also, how are you a weirdo? Because also, it's so frustrating to me when people are really using that to dictate who they date or like even which is also a weird thing to me. But like, because like for example, for Aquarius, right? Apparently, our incompatible signs are water signs, so Cancer, Scorpios, Pisces, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So I have friends who are Scorpios and Cancers. I don't think we're very incompatible from the looks of it. I don't know about that. That's very confusing. But then also, when it comes to stuff that we're bad at, apparently, we're too much in our heads and very little in the heart.
Oh, that's so you, Steven.
That's so me. Like it makes sense. I'm a heartless man. I'm a my week into like that makes perfect sense to me. But it's very frustrating to me that like I'm not trying to discredit like people who actually believe in that stuff. Like you're like, man, it's I find humor in it. It's just like I don't think you should dictate how you date someone based on horoscopes and stuff like that, or astrology in a nutshell. Like and also it was like another thing was I don't know, you ever heard when people were saying like Saturn was in retrograde or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that corresponds to like your birth chart as well. Things in that nature. I don't understand it. But like the one example I have of my zodiac working out, my best friends are Taurus, and I don't think I'm necessarily supposed to get along with Taurus. But my roommate is a Gemini, and Aries and Gemini do get along. So, and I guess Aries is one of the few signs that Gemini actually gets along with. And more is dating an Aries and it roomed with an Aries. So you could be like, oh, the zodiac works. But it's like happenstance, you know? Like my birthday's the 19th. What if I'm a Taurus? You know, like it's not that incredible.
It's not. And it's like, again, it's like.
But it's fun. It's like a fun little thing to do.
It is fun because, like, even when you go on, like, dating app, they're like, yo, what's your horoscope? Like, oh, I'm a.
You said it wrong every single time.
Horoscope.
I just let that go up until now. Horoscope, that does not get the pass.
I was trying to say, what's your people? No, I'm saying
what's your sign.
Your sign. It's like, all right, I'm a. They'll try to. Well, some of them do try to match you with someone who's a similar sign or compatible to your sign. Which I'm like, yo, don't even do that. Give me all the signs. Like, don't do that. Give me all the signs. Like, they're literally based on that. I'm like,
no thanks. That's so limiting.
You're limiting all the potential there. Like, give me everybody, not just the people, and just because they're
tired of Libras. Like, I need to move on, you know? Yeah. Show me the wall.
Also, I just don't understand it. And then, like, when I said the Saturn retrograde, I looked it up. So when Saturn goes retrograde, this back in 2022, I guess, you may have to put up some boundaries regarding your social life, especially if you're overcommitting yourself to events becoming run down to result. Thankfully, Mercury retrograde ends, so your ex should finally get out of your DMs. Wait, no.
So basically, one, astrology is just a more complicated self-help book based on nothing. Two, if you are someone who judges people by their zodiac sign, please stop politely.
Please stop. Like, no, bro. No, just no, there's like, oh, who was it? I forgot her name. She used to go to the school, our university, but she could have dated someone that was like really good for her, and she declined her because of her sign. And I was just like, I remember the day so clearly in my head, and I'm walking to class like chilling, and then I run into that person. I forget the shorty's name. I think I'm gonna call her Kate for now. So I'm walking into class, I see Kate. I'm like, what's up, Kate? She looks sad. I'm like, what's going on? So I see I don't remember her. Kate and Cole. So I see Cole. I'm like, Cole, what happened? He's like, oh, Kate tried to ask me out. I'm like, oh, we there. So wait, I'm like, did you reject her? He's like, yeah. I'm like, why? He's like, well, because the signs don't line. I'm like,
what?
I'm like, he's like, I'm like, the hell does that mean? He's like, oh, she's a Capricorn, or no, I forget her sign, but I'll say Leo. She's a Leo. Whatever is not a negative sign towards Leo. And I'm like, bro, you just rejected her because of her freaking sign? Like, she's actually good for you, better than all your exes, because you have a bad track record. Like, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, bro, I have to sit next to her in class, like.
Oh no.
And then I sit next to her in class, and she's just like, she has her head down for most of the class, and it's a 3-hour class. So like, I'm the senior just go through all like the stages of depression or something. I'm like, man.
Oh no. Did she ask before class started?
Yeah, and thankfully.
No.
Well, my thing is, like, imagine if they were in the same class. That would have been worse. They would have been
boy.
She would have probably I just said I
she would have dropped out.
Now the professor asked me, is like, is she doing okay? Like, she's sick or something? I'm like, yeah, I made up a lot. I said, yeah, she came down with a little stomach flu or something. And like, he talked to her and he was like, you gotta go home. You can go home. Like, we'll talk about it. And she went home. I went to go visit her and she was just like so distraught. I'm like, okay, look. Just stop worrying about that guy. Okay. Like, I don't know what Cole going through his head, but you're good. Trust me. You're
Yeah. Damn.
But I think because the way he said it to her was like something around the signs is not right. And then he was like, he went deeper with it because he's a big fan of astrology. And it's like, that's why I was like, all right, bro. I had to go talk to him later that night. I'm like, yo, bro, look, if you ever talk to a girl and the only reason why you got to talk to her because of sign, I'm slapping the shit out of you. I'm so doing that because I ain't never seen a girl that broken over the fact that she got rejected over a freaking sign in my life.
Like, I'm not judging or anything. If you're really into astrology, that's cool for you. But I personally feel as though you sometimes need to look past somebody's sign and judge their actual character.
Yeah, personality. Does no one believe in it anymore? Or just fashion now? Is that that's an old fashioned thing now? Like, oh, we go off signs now. Sign game 2022. Nah, bro. I'm not with that.
Nah. Is it fun? Yeah, I think it's fun. And I don't know because I'm not in that realm, but I feel like there is some credibility for people who use like astrology for more like witchy stuff. And I feel like that has some credibility, but I feel like that's in a totally different realm than just being like, oh, you're an Aries, you can't be friends with me. You know, like that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about witchy stuff, which I don't deal with witchy stuff.
Right, like, bro, we're talking about something with the crystals and all that stuff. That's a whole different dimension.
A whole different realm.
Like, but we just talking about, that's your sign, and oh yeah, you act by your sign, like, bro. And as we showing you, there's people that will lie about that if you don't know them like that. Like, my man lied to a girl just to talk to her. Like, come on.
And again, I haven't seen one credible study about it. I would love to. I would love to see a study on that. Maybe it just hasn't been done yet. That's probably more likely. If there's a correlation between your astrology sign and who you are as a person, then I might take it seriously. But there's not, so I can't.
Right. I mean, look, any data out there, specific research, I would love to see how it acts, how it stacks up. But like at the end of the day, I guess I'll say, which is ironic to say, I'll just keep it old fashioned. I'll go off your personality, go how we talk, and go from there. Because like, I ain't never denying a girl for her sign. Like, like if she asks me for my sign, I'll be honest. Like, all right, I'm Aquarius. And if she gives me that look, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Bye. Like, bye. Like, I don't. But again, another question brought in by a viewer. So thank you for your question on our.
Yes, thank you. Good discussion on that one.
Yeah, because like, bro, astrology, it just mind boggles me. And
it's so prevalent. Like, I feel like it's gotten a bit of a resurgence in the past 5 or so years.
Yeah, I feel like, TikTok, I feel like played a role in that because
for sure.
Just all the memes it makes from it. It's like, yeah, but like there's people that actually believe in it, and then it's like it gets to a point where we get rejected out here because of signs, and you're like, bruh, what can I do? But at the end of the day, look, man, do what you can. Have fun and enjoy life. And if you get rejected over because of your freaking zodiac sign, remember,
send them to us.
Send them to us. We'll have a good discussion on the podcast with them because I want to get a deep breakdown. Like, yo, if anyone who's listened to the podcast, really a deep harper on zodiac signs, come on the podcast. We want to have a little session with you just to discuss, like, how deep it is with you. It's not a fun. It's not. Actually, I'm not even joking. I just want to know because, like, I have some friends who are like that, but. Hey, if you're a professional, let me know. I'll put a podcast.
If you are a professional.
Professional zodiac, whatever field that falls into, I don't know. Just hop on. We'll talk about it because I would love to know more stuff about it. But I think that's about wraps up this episode. Yes. Unless Marilyn, do you have anything else you want to say about anything to talk about?
We're gonna have a post go up on our stories today, the day this is recorded, June 2nd, about what questions you'd like to see in the pod. So in the event you missed that on the stories, drop it in the comments or just stay tuned to our page to see. We want to get more viewer questions out we can talk about. So Let's get the engagement up. Let's get some questions going, and you'll see us answer them on the pod. But with that being said, Steven, I think those were all your questions for today.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So thanks for tuning in to this discussion today. We covered a wide range of subjects. And if you'd like to see more from us, we're HU Flow Podcast on YouTube and wherever podcasts are streamed. That'll be down in the description. Thank you so much for joining in today. As always, I'm Marilyn, and this is Steven. And have a good day.